This is America in Space, a weekly news and information program on current events dealing with the space industry. From the Washington News Bureau, here is your host, Rick Potlock.
Welcome to this episode of America in Space. I call this week's episode Astronauts Are People Too, and ISS Commander Chris Cassidy gives us his perspective of the pandemic and of recent events. But first, a quick note about Into Tomorrow with Dave Graveline, the show about consumer technology. Dave's show is now in its 25th year and can be heard on nearly 200 AM and FM radio stations in the U.S. and Canada. You can also hear Into Tomorrow on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, Zeno Radio on any phone, and on America Armed Forces Radio. Recently, ISS Commander Chris Cassidy spoke with reporters from the ISS, and among the topics was his perspective on the pandemic from space.
People need to use a little more caution, and it's not going to be an immediate light switch to go back to what everyone knows as normal. And from my personal perspective, I'm hoping or very curious what it'll be like in October when I return to Earth, and I'm quite mentally prepared now for some completely different set of parameters that we define as normal. It's really quite fascinating to watch from up here.
Yeah, how often do you talk to your friends and family that you worry about?
Well, we have great communication structure up here. We have email and have the ability to make a phone call to friends and family, and once a week we have a video conference with our family and loved ones. And so we stay pretty well connected. We also have daily news recorded and sent up to us that we can watch on board here on our local network. And so we're pretty well aware of what's going on.
Looking down at the Earth, you must have a different sense of things, a different perspective than we do when we're down here, I would think.
Well, yes and no. We still have the perspective of being a human being with our personal belief structure and how that fits into the information that you're getting, and you process it all. And that doesn't change with us being on the space station or on the ground. What the being up here does allow us to do is open the window. Well, the window shade. If we open the window, we'd have bigger problems without a spacesuit on. But open the window shade. Yeah. Open the window shade and look at the planet go by. It's going by at 5 miles a second. And so it only takes a handful of minutes to go across the entire continent of North America. And in that short period of time, because you've been an adult and have traveled maybe from New York City to Los Angeles, and you know that it's a big country, but yet we go past it very quickly. And it just makes you realize that we're all pretty small. Each and every one of us is little, but collectively we can combine our efforts, and if everybody pitches in and does their job and does what does right for the world, does right for the environment, does right for their neighbors and friends, we can make a big difference as a collective group. And that's the perspective I have when I look down at the Earth going by so quickly.
You said October for when you come back. When you do get back, besides seeing your family, which is the obvious, right? What's the first thing that's on the list to go and do?
Well, the very first thing, and I've done it on my 2 previous space flights, is after landing in Houston and seeing my family right away, we drive to the Johnson Space Center, and I'm going to walk onto the basketball court and shoot a free throw. I'm 2 for 2, nothing but net on the previous 2 flights. So that will be action number 1, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, here's hoping that Chris Cassidy goes 3 for 3 on his free throws. Don't forget Tuesday on About Space Today, David Denault will be featuring tourism and NASA partners. You can follow both our shows on aboutspace.today. Reporting from the Washington News Bureau, I'm Rick Potlock.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to share our program with your family and friends and follow us on Facebook. Join us each week for news and information on America in Space.